Coverage for the NPSL and the NPSL playoffs, where you've got to be ready on the hop because it is midweek weekend and all of that. And so our first stop this morning of the playoffs here in this particular part of the world, we head to North Carolina and catch up with the head coach of Hickory FC. You know, you keep winning and you keep showing up here on the show, Carlos. Head coach Carlos Rubio, Hickory FC. Good morning.
Good morning. We do it just to be on the show and speak with you every day. So
I love how you think. It's like, all right, we win. We know what's going to happen.
Yes.
All right. So break down what happened last weekend for us all now that you ain't done. So what happened last weekend to make sure that your season was not finished?
Yeah, it's a fantastic game, a really good environment, and just another, I keep using the same word over and over again, another fantastic night for the whole community. Obviously, App is in Boone, an hour from us, so a lot of our fans were able to travel and be there with us. They have a fantastic support as well, so it was an amazing night, and we were really proud that we were able to cap it off with a championship. So yeah, yes, an incredible evening.
Do you ever have a pinch me moment when you're out there? I mean, while the game's going on, or do you have to wait until it's over before you sit there and you pinch yourself and go, man, we've had a really good run this year?
No, actually, doesn't normally hit me until after the game, like you said. But this game, right before kickoff, myself and the coaching staff, we were working across the field, and we walked past both set of fans. So the home fan just full on yellow and black, and then we go into our fan section, all red, and that's when it hit me like, this is incredible. It's just the fact that we have two really good fans, like crowds and supporters, literally next to one another, chanting in a very respectful way. It's just fantastic. You couldn't even coach how loud it was. So that's when it hit me. As soon as the whistle went, and it was game mode. But before that first whistle, we were in the moon.
When you look back, I mean, this season is a sprint. I mean, it literally is a sprint when you start the NPSL season and you're chasing after a national championship. How difficult is it knowing that you've got to accomplish a lot in the regular season in a very short period of time? You've got to win a lot of games so you can have that points per game average, so you can host as many matches as possible in the playoffs. How difficult is it for you and the staff to manage this whole thing of, we've got to be successful. We've got to be successful from the absolute beginning. We've got to win games. We've got to win a lot of games. We've got to win them now. That sense of urgency's always got to be there. How do you manage that?
Yeah, I think is in the expectations that we set for the club from above us, from the ownership group, and then obviously the coaching staff. We wanted to be on this stage at this point. So we knew that for that, apotheosis in May was just as important as Alliance in the back end of June. So we knew that all those games were going to count for the seeding, obviously, to be able to get into the conference. That was the first tick in the box. Then to host the conference, second tick in the box, to win it, third one, and now to host the regional. So we knew we wanted to be here. We knew we had the pieces to do it. But like you say, it's just the consistency of not dropping the level during a sprint race to ensure that we're in the place that we expected or we dream of at the start of the season.
So when you look at anything that surprises you, has there been what has been the most pleasant surprise this season on the field and off the field for you at Hickory?
The most pleasant surprise on the field is the band of brothers that we have representing this community. Obviously, as you know, they all come from different environments, different coaching staff, different backgrounds, schools, divisions. And I've played this league, and you cover it for a long time, so you know it's difficult to get into buy into a team culture that represents them all quickly, and to fight and win for one another. And that was our message from the start, that we need to differentiate ourselves from other teams in the fact that we fight and win for one another, and not just as individuals. So that's the thing that I've been most proud of, because it happened from day one, and up until today, I still say that there is a band of brothers in that locker room that are willing to do whatever it takes for one another. And when you do that, then good things happen. And then off the field is just the level of support that we've got from the community. Obviously, we knew that the community was eager to have this club emerge, but it's just the other day when we went to Alliance, which is like almost a 4-hour drive, we have 50 fans show up there. The other day we went to Boone, and it felt like we were playing at home. And it's just the relentless support that they've shown us throughout the whole season. That's what I've been most proud of.
Have there been any players? What we like to do at points when we talk about things at the high school level or in the college level, are there any players there? We always like to say, make that young athlete an offer, because for whatever reason, they're overlooked. They could be too small. And yes, I'm using air quotes for those that are just listening to the show. They could be too small. They could be, too slow. They could be whatever, and they're not getting the looks that you think that they should be getting. They should be playing at a higher level when it comes to college. They should be playing at a different level. They should be really getting a lot more looks to be playing at the next level. Is there anyone on your roster this year there at Hickory that checks that box where you sit there and you go, man, I don't know why they're only playing at X place, because they deserve to be playing at a place that means more recognition for them?
Yeah, I mean, there is one player that, as you were talking, just came directly to my mind, and we have plenty of those boys that could be playing at a really good level, but we're glad to be part of their journey now. But Camilo Salazar, one of our wingers, he's a small little man, this tiny, skinny, probably like you say earlier when you describe a athlete, you probably wouldn't tick that box, but he just overcomes all that maybe physical disadvantage with his heart, his passion, his desire to win challenges. Obviously, he's brilliant, a fantastic soccer player, but he's the one that I've been more surprised of, because again, you put him into the box that you were describing earlier, that perfect athlete, if you want to call it that way. But he surprised us. He was going the other day, obviously, up at a team that is very athletic, very strong. They tried to dominate that part of the game, and Camilo didn't look out of place. He was able to match up and come out on the better side in pretty much every challenge. So yeah, he'll be the one that will be part of the overlook.
Oh, no doubt. And when you look at what you've been able to accomplish, do you surprise yourself? Do you and the staff surprise yourselves with what you've been able to accomplish here in this first season? Or was this kind of what you were hunting for? It's like, yeah, we want to win. We want to win a lot. We want to get in the playoffs. We want to chase after a national championship. Was that really what you were hunting for in year one, or what were the expectations going in?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it comes down from top to bottom, right? So the ownership group, they wanted us to be successful from year one, and that's one of the reasons why we accepted the job, because we didn't want to be part of something that it was just happy to make up the numbers. We all have to sacrifice a lot for this to happen. So let's just aim to win the national championship in year one. Why not? So that was our goal as coaching the staff. And if we achieve it, fantastic. We'll look to achieve it in year two as well. If we don't and we fell short, then evaluate at the end of the season and see what we missed that stopped us and prevented us from winning a national championship. But that's the way we operate. I think that's the only way we know how to recruit, and that's the only way we know how to coach. It's just aiming for the biggest trophy out there, and then do whatever it takes to achieve it.
How much studying have you been able to do with on Columbus? By the way, Brett's coming on after you this morning, so I'm going to ask you that question again, like we had with Dale, as you exit and Brett comes in. How much studying have you been able to do with Columbus?
Yeah, I mean, it's the downside, I guess, of these Saturdays, Wednesdays, that as soon as we get back on the bus and to celebrating, I was sitting with the coaching staff on the bus and say, all right, so how we beat Columbus now? So that was the whole drive back, is just obviously analyzing what we've done well, because to be in this stage, what we've done is work, and it's put us in the position that we are. So there is no need for us to now go crazy and start changing things and adapting. So the last couple of days has been like, what we've done that has made us successful. Let's keep hammering on that, and then just have a clear idea of what Columbus like to propose on the field, how they like to play, what patterns can we observe from them. It's gonna be a fantastic game. They deserve to be here. Obviously, they're here, so they've done a fantastic season, a really good run on the conference term, beating really good teams as well. So they've been proven and tested. So I know it's going to be another great now soccer for our community, for the NPSL, and we look to make everyone proud and get those that win so we can advance into the final.
No, and you mentioned the fan support traveling to 865, basically suburban Knoxville from there, and you got to go through the mountain pass. You got to grab like a stable of horses. You got to make sure that the brakes work on every car. I mean, it is a haul going through the mountains. What's it been like to see the fan support where you're setting attendance records and all of these different markers that you guys are hitting so far this year?
Mind blowing. But not just that. It's just how soccer has overtaken the community. It's just we go into bars, restaurants, and breweries, and you see the scarves all over their tabs. The other day, there was a lot of people watching the Euro final. There was a lot of people watching the Copa America final. There was a lot of people watching our game in the watch party, even though they couldn't make the trip. So it's just how the sport has surrounded the community over the summer, and it's just part of Hickory, part of who we are, and I will gladly say that it's part of our culture now.
If you and this is your last question, so let me write this down. So when Brett comes in, I can ask. So this is what happens when I've got notebooks and everything around me. So all right, I had you ask a question for Dale.
Yeah.
And so now that you're in the playoffs, I'm going to continue this trend that we have. If you had a question for Brett about Columbus or about the match in general tomorrow, what is your question for him that I will ask him when he pops in here in a little bit?
Obviously, first of all, I haven't had the pleasure to meet him yet, so I'm excited to meet him on Wednesday and congratulate him on a great season. The year one as well, if I'm not mistaken. So what they've done, my question for him is like, what they've done in year one that has put him in this position, because really we've done things our way and it's been successful, but obviously they've done things their way and it's been successful as well. So what they've done in year one that has made them as a club be in this stage. So, but just please, when you speak with him, extend my congratulations.
You got it. And so I wrote it down. I said, what have you done in year one to be successful doing it your way? So yep. That is as I write feverishly here. So questions written down. So when Brett comes in to talk about everything Columbus United, they're hopping on the bus today and they're heading your way. So I guess they don't want to do anything day of, get on the bus the day of, have cranky muscles and that kind of a thing. So I think they're leaving today and they're heading your way. So here's the question for Brett. I've written it down. I will ask him if he's got a question for you, and then the two of you either can discuss it here on you can discuss it in your social media or all those kind of stuff. But
I'll be watching. So
there you go. All right. So once again, go ahead and hit the promo for me. Start time, all the stuff when it comes to the playoff game tomorrow.
Yeah, so a beautiful night of soccer in Moretti Stadium at 7 p.m. We look to pack the stadium, break again our attendance record, and safe travels to Columbus United and their coaching staff and players. We're excited to have them here.
No doubt about it. Carlos, it's always great to catch up with you, my friend. When we catch up with you this time of year, that means you're still winning in the playoffs. And so obviously we'll keep an eye on what's going on tomorrow and follow as we go here in the NPSL. Thanks for hanging out with us again. Bat and lead off again on Tuesday. Be safe, my friend.
See ya. Thank you.
All right. That's Carlos Rubio, the head coach at Hickory FC. And so Carlos is getting ready for Columbus United. And Columbus United, they ran through their conference, and they've made it through. And so they are going to be hitting the bus today. And we caught up with Brett when they were just starting as an organization. When Brett had been named, we got into the ideas, and we'll go and revisit some of those talking points. But to see Columbus run the way that they have and make it into the playoffs and put up some big numbers along the way, it's been a fun watch to see them make their run from Kinnett Stadium in Columbus, Georgia, to bring a different kind of football to Kinnett. And now they're in the playoffs in year number 1. And so it's been really cool to see all of these first-year teams work their way through all of the navigations of starting a franchise, and then going from starting a franchise to hitting the ground and making sure that, like we were talking about with Coach Rubio, you got to hit the ground running. You've got to win a lot of games. You've got to make sure that everything is all locked in place and confident in your approach, confident with your player pool, and make sure that you can navigate your division the first time through. What we've seen with first-year clubs. And you're seeing it in the NPSL this year. And we'll see how it's been with Columbus and catching up with Coach Teach coming up just around the corner. And it's been fun to see the build for a lot of these first-year clubs, and they're making their pushes into the postseason in NPSL in year number 1. I know that Morning Wiley and Morning Tom and Morning Michael, I know that you guys are talking about the season ticket email that came out yesterday. We'll go over that in hour number 2 as well. And we'll, like I said, there's a lot of news to navigate this morning. We mentioned Garrett Southgate off the top. We've got to discuss what CONMEBOL said about Miami on their way out the door. And the Colombian Federation, I had to answer to the local police as well. And so we'll discuss that. We have a lot of other news going on. Like I said, we mentioned what's going on at RSL. We'll go into that in depth, and we'll see what the early reports are involving Chicho Arango, and we'll be getting into that. All right, turn of the corner. We had one coach in the matchup on, and now it's time to catch up with the other coach in this particular matchup. And so now it's time to go to Columbus, catch up with Brett Teach. Morning, Coach. Welcome back to the morning show.
Thank you for having me, John. Sorry about the informality. I'm in my car because we train at 9:45, so I'm sitting in my car at the stadium catching up with you guys today.
No worries. So I will make sure that you are out the door by 9:44, just to make sure to practice in the right way. What I like to do when I have coaches in the postseason, and we are fortunate enough to where they're going up against each other in a matchup, I wanted to have Carlos Rubio at Hickory ask you a question. He's watching the show back in Hickory. His question for you is, what have you in the collective done in year 1 to be as successful as you've been doing it in your way? So that's Carlos's question for you. What's your answer?
Wow, sounds like Carlos is too smart for me. I think really, I do have the benefit of our owner having several of these teams. And so I think a lot of the day-to-day nuts and bolts mechanical operations of an organization are in place, which has allowed me to essentially concentrate on, bringing in the right types of players, not only systematically, but also kids who fit kind of how we want to play and the types of people we're looking for. Basically, I'm very fortunate. I've been doing this a long time. So a lot of my coaching friends, if you look at our roster, they're players who play for my friends. Guys that, we have players from like Rio Grande, Ohio, Mary Washington in Virginia, Georgia Southwestern. We have players from Stetson and all these different schools. Well, the reason we have these players is because of the relationship I have with their coach. And so I think I was very fortunate in that early on. And then I think, honestly, the day-to-day, the guys have just worked really, really hard. I think our there's 6 teams in our conference that could be sitting where we are right now. We played 13 games so far, and every one has been a very difficult match. There are no blowouts in our division. Every game is 1-1, 2-1, 3-2, 3-1. And it's because, the four teams that are in our division, New Orleans, ourselves, Tallahassee, and Pensacola, all were this year very good. And so, the old term iron sharpens iron. I think as the year went on, in order just to survive in these games, you had to grow exponentially during the season. It'd be like, Hickory and the top teams playing each other four times. So Hickory and App play four times. We played Pensacola four times, and Pensacola is a very good team. We played Tallahassee four times, and same thing. And we played Tallahassee four times in 3 weeks. So the familiarity that you have with each other and the rivalry is intense. And then New Orleans, who actually finished last in our group, we didn't beat them. We tied them twice. And quite frankly, they were as good as anybody in our league. It's just a bounce or two didn't go their way in certain games. And so they didn't quite get into playoffs. And so I think that, the ability to concentrate on building the roster, the ability to concentrate on building the brand and the team, and then finally having a league that you must grow and improve every day, or you're not going to be ready, has really kind of helped us along the way. And obviously, we could easily have not played beyond June 29th because, our league was such that any of the top four teams could have been there, and any of those four teams could have won it. And then the other division was a little bit not quite as strong because there were a couple teams at the bottom that weren't as good, but you still had Jacksonville and Naples who were very good as well. So there's 6 of our 8 teams are teams that, quite frankly, would do just as good a job representing our conference tomorrow night at Hickory as we will. And so, that's really it. You just have those combinations of a really good infrastructure in place and the understanding of the league through your ownership group, the ability to recruit great kids through coaching network, and then a league that challenges you to grow every day.
Was there anything that was a pleasant surprise for you in this year one sprint to the playoffs?
Yeah, probably how good our league was. I was really surprised at each New Orleans, Tallahassee, and Pensacola. And of course, we also did a 2-game series with a crossover team. So we played Naples, who is essentially a pro team, because it's basically the old Michigan Stars. They took the coach, lock, stock, and barrel, and moved to Naples.
Oh, wow.
And they were very good. And we played them early on. And when they were, they ended up winning their division. They were very good. So I think the quality top to bottom of our opponents have been outstanding. And, I had a feeling, when you get to the level we are now, everybody's good. But during the season, you'd see other leagues with scores 5-0, 7-0, 4-0, because you have newer teams or teams that aren't as well organized maybe as others. And you see these bigger results. In our league, you never saw that. Like in our division, there were no blowouts. Again, I think the biggest margin of victory in our division was 3-1. And so I was really surprised with that. And I think the crowd support at these places has been a little more than I expected. I was really surprised. We go to New Orleans and we go to Naples in the first game, and it wasn't particularly well attended. It was kind of an odd time. It was really hot. It was that first game. Then we go to New Orleans, and they have 3,500 people at the game. They got crazy lunatics behind me screaming at us the whole time. It's so much fun. And then we turn around in Tallahassee, and you play in their big, they have this big, huge stadium, and they've got a very loyal support. They've got great internet presence, if you will. And so you watch the 2 guys that run their shows, because I watch that weekly. Tally Talk, they called it. I used to watch that. I watched the New Orleans weekly show as well, and to see, because these clubs have been around for a while. And so it's really great for me, being a newbie in the league, is to see how, Kenny runs his organization at New Orleans, because, they've been around 20 some odd years, and Tallahassee's now has been around a better part of 10 years, and Pensacola's been around for years and years. And so I think that was really surprising to me as well.
When you mentioned all of this stuff, what was the crowd support been like and the fan support been like for you there in Columbus as the season's gone along?
Really phenomenal. We had a great opening crowd of 2,200, and we were a little bit concerned that, the novelty of the new team would wear out, and maybe it would drop off significantly. We were I think maybe one game below 1,000, and we were like 900 that game. The rest were all between 1,100 and 1,700. We had a great turnout for the playoffs. I think it was 1,800 or so at that game. And again, for a team that was formed kind of late.
And he's like there in the car and everything. Man, I'm guessing that Brett got a phone call, because that's how sometimes this works. Is that sometimes you'll get a phone call like in mid-conversation, and you'll get bumped off your line. And I'm wondering if Brett had to answer his phone and try and figure out what's going on. So yeah, we'll keep Brett. We'll keep Brett's lineup for another couple of minutes, because I have to ask him his question about what his question is going to be for Carlos Rubio here coming up in just a little bit. But once again, just to kind of get the lay of the land, they're going to practice, and Columbus United, they were the 4 in the Gulf.
Can you hear me again?
There you go, Brett. I guess you got a phone call.
Did you get I've lost you?
I got you. You're good.
You can hear me?
Yeah, you're good. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear you at all.
Oh, wow.
You want me to try to call back in real quick?
Yes, call back in real quick. Do that. Yes. All right, so Brett's going to duck out and duck back in. I mean, he was in his car and everything was fine. I thought that Brett got a phone call, and that was traditionally what happens when you get a phone call and you're doing it off of a mobile device. Yeah, data versus phone line. That could be. So, I mean, it's, sometimes it lends itself. I was wondering if you got a phone call and got bumped off your own line.
I don't know. It was really odd. I just all of a sudden I couldn't hear you. You couldn't hear me, and it was crazy. So sorry about that.
No worries. You were talking about the fan support that you were getting there.
Yeah, it was really like we were above 1,000. I think every single game we had 1,800 at our playoff game at home, and I think but what's been even better has been the connection with the team. There's been a real like bond between the team and the community, and we get a lot of loyal support. We got decent crowd on the road when we travel, especially, in our league, it's tough because there is some great distances that we travel. I mean, Naples was 10, 11 hours away. New Orleans is 7. Our closest game was, I think, 3. So, but we still got support in those types of games. And so I think we're fortunate with that. And then we're beginning to get a bit of an online presence with our teams as well. So
2-minute warning with you, because I want to get you out of your car by 9:44 for a 9:45
Perfect.
practice. How much studying have you done on Hickory, or is it just kind of focusing on yourself, because this is rinse and repeat right now with midweek weekend?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, obviously you're going to do your homework. You're going to watch them play. You're going to, talk to coaches who've seen them or whatever, and try to get a feel for what they are. But, my philosophical approach is always, it is about the group you can control. And so we'll go in and we'll do our best to get control of the game and play. I realize, you got to know who their danger guys are. You have to know their style of play. And obviously I know Lenore Ryan really well. I used to be in that league when I was at Tusculum. I think we won the 2009 championship there, or we knocked them off anyway, and they're a great program. And so, I'm familiar with the school, familiar with Hickory, but you get to know them, and they're very good. They're fun to watch. They're good on the ball. They've got a lot of guys that I think express themselves well in the final third. So it'll be a difficult task, but again, every game now is going to be difficult. There's not going to be one you just, this is easy. They're very good, and you don't beat a team like Appalachian, and you don't knock Apotheos out the game before if you're not good.
All right.
I know those coaches really well, so I know their teams are prepped.
No doubt. And John Mercado and Dale Parker and Carlos, they knock each other around for an entire season in that conference. All right. So since Carlos asked you your question, if you had a question for Carlos Rubio and Hickory FC, what would it be? And they can answer when you guys shake hands when you hit the ground up there at Lenore Ryan.
Mine would be very similar kind of in nature to him. What does he feel were their biggest challenges in this first year? And for year 2, what steps do they feel like they could make as an organization to grow their brand, to grow their market share, if you will, and to improve the overall process that they have. I mean, because again, we're in that stage as well. We're collecting data, looking at information, and really trying to increase our success rate with our fans, with our group. And so, I think on the field, I mean, Carlos obviously is a great coach. There's no, I think on the field, I think we're all well versed in how that goes. I really think that, what's interesting about the NPSL is, as coaches, we are involved directly in the growth of our organizations. I think we have a responsibility, and I would love to know, kind of from his perspective, kind of what would be his thoughts for year 2, areas they could improve, and areas that maybe I haven't thought about.
All good. All right, 9:45. Go to practice.
Perfect. Thanks, John.